A pleasant morning to you ladies and gentlemen of the media and to my colleagues. I bid you a warm welcome to the People's National Congress Reform Press Conference for today, Thursday, February 16th, 2023. On today's panel, I have to my immediate right, Comrade Kibwe Copeland, the chairperson acting for the Ghana Youth and Student Movement of the People's National Congress Reform. To his right, it's Comrade Dawn Hastings-Williams, the Member of Parliament and also the General Secretary of the People's National Congress Reform. To her right, Comrade Vincent Alexander, AA, chairperson of the Forbes Burnham Foundation. And to his right, we have Comrade Genevieve Allen, an executive member of the National Congress of Women of the People's National Congress Reform. I will be your moderator for this morning's proceeding, and my name is Annette Ferguson. I'll now invite our General Secretary, Comrade Dawn Hastings-Williams, to read today's press statement. Comrade Dawn.
Thank you, Comrade Ferguson. There are many early landmarks in the life of Linden, Forbes, Sampson, Burnham that exemplified his emergent, stellar, and iconic personality. In 1936, he won the Centennial Exhibition and Government Junior Scholarship. In 1937, he won the Percival Exhibition Award, and in 1942, he won the British Guiana Scholarship, the highest scholastic award in the country at that time. Recognition of his leadership potential was evident in his emergence as president of the West Indian Students' Union. In London in 1947, his ascendancy as a co-founder and first chairman of the People's Progressive Party. In 1949, and the founder of the People's National Congress. The realization of his potential culminated in national leadership and international recognition as the first Prime Minister of independent Guyana and the first executive president of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. On the 20th February 2021, the party launched the preparation for the commemoration of Burnham's Centennial birth anniversary. Today, on the eve of that anniversary, we are pleased to announce the activities that will mark the occasion. It has been decided that the activities will span the period of the entire centennial year, February 2023 to February 2024. The commencement will witness a hive of activities. First, there will be a commemorative church service on the 19th February 2023 at the Trinity Methodist Church on High Street. In the afternoon of the said day, the annual commemorative cycle race, Homestretch Avenue Return, will be staged under the Burnham Foundation and the Flying Star Cycle Club. The Burnham Foundation and the Flying Star Cycle Club. National Congress of Women, NCW, on Monday, 20th February 2023. The actual day of the anniversary will take the form of a photographic and publications exhibition featuring the life and works of the founder leader of the party, our chaperone to the independence and republicanism. The Forbes Burnham Centennial Committee, chaired by the Forbes Burnham Foundation and manned by representatives drawn from the party and its arms, GYSM and NCW, along with subcommittees comprised of volunteers responsible for the year of activities, which will include sporting events, symposia, exhibitions, debating competition, cultural activities, a gala banquet, regional commemorative activities, and memorial activities in August. The media and the public will be apprised of the specificities of these activities in a timely manner. We look forward to recognition of the founder and his legacy, which has been bequeathed to the nation, and mass involvement in honor of his centennial birth anniversary. The public is invited to these opening events. The media and the public will be informed of the details of the other activities in a timely manner. The centennial birth anniversary of Forbes Burnham comes at a time when more than ever the country needs to embrace the virtues that made him a great man and leader. His transformative vision, his boldness to blaze new paths, his deep pride in the Guyanese nation, and his unending concern about the welfare of all Guyanese. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam General Secretary of the People's National Congress Reform. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, you have just heard the reading of the press statement on the launch of the activities to mark the centennial birth anniversary of Linden Forbes Sampson Burnham, OESC. So I'll now invite you members of the media to pose your questions, but before doing so, you will utilize the hand feature symbol on your screen, and when you're acknowledged, you will indicate to us your name and which media house you represent. So the floor is now open for questions from you, the members of the media.
Good morning, and this is directed to Mr. Vincent Alexander.
Okay.
Now, sir, you're the head of the Burnham Foundation, but in the public domain, there aren't too many artifacts or symbols of what Mr. Burnham did. Do you have his books? Do you have recordings? What are some of the things that you have, sir?
Thank you very much for your question. The Burnham Foundation considers itself at this point in time to be the body that has the largest collection of the speeches of Linden, Forbes, Sampson, Burnham in three categories. Those which would have been made at congresses and the party fora, those which he made as President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, and those which he made as Prime Minister. We also have a large collection of photographs of his life works. We also have a collection of the program which we stage monthly, and that is the television program of the Burnham Foundation, State of the Nation. That can also be found on YouTube. So we have a office where the foundation is based, and those publications are on permanent display in that office. It's located at a place called Legacy House, 584 High Palm Road, South Ramphill Gardens. It works on a daily basis from 10 to 6, from Monday to Friday. The public is welcome to visit and to access all that we have. So we do have a permanent place, but we do from time to time move our exhibition around. You would know that last year, for example, we had an exhibition in Main Street after permission was drawn from us having it at the National Library. We would have had the exhibition as well during Emancipation Day in the National Park. And so we do move our exhibition around so the public can have access to it. So yes, we do have material on Linden, Forbes, Sampson, Burnham in our effort to do what the foundation does. That's to commemorate and memorialize Linden, Forbes, Sampson, Burnham.
Thank you very much.
May I have a follow? Sorry. May I have a follow, please?
Kindly proceed, Mr. Harris.
Sorry?
Kindly proceed with your follow-up.
Yes. Now, sir, one day I was in the archives and I saw a copy of the first edition of the New Nation. I think it was October 57. Are copies of the New Nation available in your foundation, sir?
Unfortunately, copies of the New Nation are not available. But you have planted a seed.
Thank you very much, Comrade Alexander. Are there any other follow-ups or questions on this particular question posed by Mr. Harris earlier? If not, I can move to the other person.
Recording in progress.
Kindly proceed, Mr. Harris.
One of the things that came about when Mr. Burnham died, there were a lot of hostile comments and all of these. And these things should also be part of the history. Have we collected many of those things? There were some writings. There were comments on some of his achievements. And some of his achievements were quite public in the press and all of that. What I'm trying to find out is how extensive is the collection, sir, in the foundation, which seems to be the repository of things Burnham.
In my earlier references, I did not mention that we also have a collection of publications on Burnham. So in addition to the speeches, we have a collection of publications on Burnham. May I indicate that on the occasion of the 40th anniversary of independence, the Burnham Foundation collaborated with the University of Guyana's library, and on that occasion we sought to ensure that we shared between the two institutions, so that the library shared with us whatever they had that we did not have, and we shared with them whatever they had whatever we had that they did not have. And we collectively came up with a bibliography of the works related to Linden, Forbes, Sampson, Burnham. That bibliography is also available at Legacy House, as much as it is also available on our website, LFS Burnham Foundation.org, and on our Facebook page.
Thank you very much, Comrade Alexander. I don't see any raised hand at the moment, so the floor still remains open for questions to be put to the panel.
Well, not too many persons around in the media would have known Burnham. Old people like me, we were around a long time, so I suppose I know a lot. Now, Mr. Alexander, his funeral was a spectacular event. I remember people like Michael Manley attending and all of this. Do you have a video recording of that funeral? And do you have a video recording of his burial at the place of his bonds?
We do have video recordings. It's not one single recording, but we do have recordings. I'm interested in, I'm enthused by the word spectacular, but certainly some of the very, very great speeches were made at that funeral. I remember the speech of the former Attorney General, Dr. Shahabuddin, that of the President designated at that time, Mr. U. Desmond Hoyt, that of Dr. Tolmy Reed. All of these are a part of the repository which we have. May I go on to say that as we speak, we are in the process of digitizing all of his speeches, and in the very near future, during the period of this centennial year, we'll be able to launch all of those speeches on our website, so that persons will be able to visit our website and digitally access all of the speeches. And we will also be doing some work in terms of the other speeches pertaining to the life of Burnham, or other speeches related to his period as the leader of the nation.
Thank you very much, Comrade Alexander, for your response. I still don't see any other raised hand at the moment to indicate that persons or from the various media houses have questions to put. So if we're to exhaust the questions from the press statement, perhaps with the agreement from members of on the panel, we'll reopen the floor for any other questions of the statement.
Before you open the floor, I would think it would be remiss of me not to reiterate some of what was said in the press statement, and specifically to reiterate that on Sunday at 8 a.m. There will be a church service at the Trinity Methodist to commemorate the life of Linden, Forbes, Sampson, Burnham. This church service follows on our annual church service, which is normally held at Kitty Methodist. But this year, because it's Centennial, we are giving a wider audience the opportunity of being in attendance, and hence it's being held at Trinity Methodist. We are also having a television program in the evening at 8 p.m. on Channel 9 with a panel as well. And so the public is invited to view that as well. And on Monday morning, the actual anniversary day, the NCW will facilitate the launch, the official launch, a ceremonial launch of this year of activities. And that will take the form of an exhibition at Public Road Kitty, the headquarters of the NCW. That starts on Monday morning and will run until Tuesday, and the public is invited to visit and to be able to witness some of what Mr. Harris asked about. That's the books, speeches of Burnham, photographs, as well as we will be playing recorded speeches of Burnham on that occasion. So I thought I would reiterate those for public consumption.
Thank you very much, Comrade Alexander. So I noticed Comrade Kibwe Copeland would like to add to what Comrade Vincent just said. So over to you, Kibwe.
Yes, good morning, press media. I believe the first question asked by Adam Harris, which speaks to monuments and what do we have in the archives from the founder leader, Forbes Burnham. And more than what is in the, I should say, Burnham Foundation, if you look at the end in general, Demerara Harbor Bridge, we look at Coffee, the monument at Coffee Square, we look at Curry Festa, a festival, of course, that has been for us even before I was born. We look at the Linden and Suicide Highway. These are monuments, and there are many more, of course, that we can continuously elaborate on. that speaks to the legacy of Forbes Burnham, his work as a leader, the YSM, which I am the national chairman for acting, the Guyana Youth Student Movement, which of course was birthed under Linden, Forbes, Sampson, Burnham. And I think the list is very, very long. As a young person, I think this year, this centennial year, is very special. It is something that we should try as much as possible to get as much information. I see there are less hands raised, and that's because there's a lack of information. Most of what is out there is propaganda. Most of what is out there is hearsay. But what we tried as much as possible to do with this press statement is to give facts, is to give dates, and this is just a small bit. As I would use the term, setting the seeds. But there's much information out there that I think persons should try to get in touch with, because it speaks to not only the man Forbes Burnham, but it speaks to the history of Guyana, since he, of course, being the first president of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, the first cooperative republic in the world. I think that is something that is very important to note. That basically would be my comments, added to what are, of course, more learned when it comes to Forbes, Sampson, Burnham, Vincent Alexander, the head of the Burnham Foundation, has to say.
Thank you very much, Kibwe, for your input. I don't know if Comrade Genevieve Allen from the NCW would like to say something.
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator, colleagues on the panel, ladies and gentlemen of the media. The National Congress of Women, we are very privileged to be hosting this exhibition starting on the birth date of the late Linden Forbes Sampson Burnham. Mr. Burnham brought about changes in the lives of the women of Guyana, and his policies while in government helped to empower our women. Our women became equal to our men, and it was the PNC government that removed the Bastardy Act, that a child that was born out of wedlock was considered as a bastard, and that is empowerment for women and children of our nation. I recall that the International Year of Women that was promulgated by the United Nations, that Guyana held a number of activities, and women who were not involved in skills that were done by men gravitated to those skills. And so the National Congress of Women, now, then the Women's Revolutionary Socialist Movement, was in the leadership role of training women and encouraging women to become involved. And so women began attending the Government Technical Institute and other training areas where they acquired skills. And so the number of women in the Guyana Police Force and the Guyana Defense Force grew because our women were not being paid a different salary as against our men, but they were given the importance that they needed. Women were trained in skills, and so the WRSM led the courses in teaching them cookery skills. And so we began to use our local products, and so today we have the local fruits in our market, and it was the WRSM that led the way to train our women in the production. And so WRSM also had sewing garments, our women being trained, they did bandage, they did other skills to empower our women. I'd like to also say that at the exhibition, which will be held on Monday, there will be 3 speeches or remarks that will be done. And on that program, we will have the representative from the Forbes Burnham Foundation, the representative of the National Congress of Women, and the leader of the People's National Congress Reform, who will declare the activity open. The activity commences at 10 a.m. in the morning and concludes at 5 p.m., both on Monday and Tuesday, and the members of the general public are invited, as well as our students across the schools in Georgetown and its environs. The National Congress of Women will also be laying a wreath at the bust which is within the compound there at 44 Public Road, Kitty, to mark the centennial birth anniversary of the late Linden, Forbes, Sampson, Burnham. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Comrade Genevieve Allen, for your input. So, ladies and gentlemen of the media, I guess by now we might have exhausted all the questions from the actual.
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay, Comrade. Okay, Mr. Harris, I will allow you to ask your question.
All right. Now, this is for anybody on the panel. They got for the able people like me. Now, Burnham was vilified a lot for doing a couple of things. One, insisting on an agricultural program that would have suited Guyana. And of course, he was vilified for trying to take the country, as some say, too fast, too far. How much has the party changed in trying to motivate people to concentrate more on local produce, to concentrate on things that would have created employment? General council meetings were all about, hey, you got to do this for yourself. I remember the famous speech about digging the MMA canal with our fingernails if we have to. How much has the party that he founded digressed from the straightforward thing that he kind of promoted? Anybody? Vincent, you've been around. Genevieve, you've been around.
I would not pretend to be speaking for the party. Suffice to say that the focus of the Burnham Foundation, as I said earlier, is to commemorate and to memorialize Burnham. And one of the ways in which we do that, particularly on our monthly program, is to look back at the thoughts of Burnham, to look back at the works of Burnham, and to demonstrate the relevance of those things to Guyana today. So we continue to emphasize the application of the ideas of Burnham to Guyana today. And when we have symposia, we also focus on that. So for the foundation, undoubtedly, our emphasis is not only to uplift Burnham, but to ensure that his legacy lives on in a very practical way by virtue of sharing with the nation at large his thoughts and his projects in a manner that they can still be applied today. As is the case in many instances, though they were applied under names that are not exactly those which he used, kind of a sleight of hand application. But there are many of his thoughts which are applied in Ghana today and across the Caribbean. The whole question of food security, one cannot divorce that from Burnham.
Thank you very much, Comrade Alexander.
If I may add, I believe that our present leader of the People's National Congress Reform, Marvin Norton, has been doing a great job in extending that legacy of agriculture. When we look back at his tenure as the Presidential Advisor of Youth Empowerment, I can recall that our Compton North would have pushed several agro-processing programs whereby young people would have been trained in agro-processing, would have been trained in making honey, and several other agro-related produce. So that same concept not only is presented by us at that time, when we were in power in 2015 to 2020, but even as a leader, Aubrey Norton would have continued that legacy, and it has been something that not only the leader, but the leadership itself, myself as the chairman of the Ghana Youth Student Movement, we would have continued to push that activism towards farming, agro-processing, getting back to the lands. I think it's very important for a country with so much land, a country with so much rich land, of course, and it is something that I can assure you, Adam Harris, that we are and will continue to push when it comes to, not only the oil, but the green economy.
Thank you very much, Comrade Genevieve.
I just want to follow on to the comment that Mr. Harris made to say that when rice flour was introduced in Guyana, there were a lot of naysayers and propaganda running around Guyana. It is surprising today that when you go and you visit the international supermarkets right here in Guyana, that you're seeing rice flour on sale, and Guyanese are purchasing it. And only last night, I saw on Facebook where somebody was advertising some products that they themselves made from rice flour. Self-reliance was one of the policies of the Forbes Burnham government. And so he stressed that we should only use what we produce. He also said to us that we should plant every square inch of land that is available to us. And those of us who are as old as Adam will remember feed, house, and clothe the nation by 1976. Those were slogans. And so therefore, Forbes Burnham had a vision for the development of Guyana. I only hope that our younger people will hold that vision as we move towards the future. We will feed ourselves, we will house ourselves, and we can go back to clothing ourselves, which means that whatever foreign exchange is earned remains here in Guyana and develops this nation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Comrade Allen. I'll now invite the General Secretary to give her remarks. General Secretary.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I just want to add a little more on what was said by my former colleagues on the panel, which is to say that to emphasize a little bit more on women empowerment. Seeing myself as the General Secretary of the People's National Congress is a legacy that the former leader has left, and as a party we continue having women in Parliament, in the highest decision-making forum. We have a lot more Tushaws or Amerindian chiefs that are women at this time, and it was his vision to to include women in all decision-making forums. And so we are continuing his legacy of empowering women to lead, to hold important positions in the high places, like I said, the Parliament, the Tushaws, in the Regional Council, the NDCs, and now I believe I'm the second female General Secretary, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm the third female General Secretary. And so the legacy continues, and we want to thank, as a young girl growing up, I remember reading some books that, that were distributed to schools when we had this border issue with Venezuela. A lot of books were sent to the school, and as a young girl, I read a lot of them, and that empowered me as a young girl growing up. You know, I was able to appreciate the country that I live in, this beautiful country called Guyana. So Burnham has done a lot for us, and we will continue to live his legacy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam General Secretary. And if I can just add briefly to the point on agriculture, and I do support all the points advanced by my colleagues, Comrade Vincent Alexander and Comrade Kibwe Copeland. I recall while in government and during the distribution of house lots, the then leader of the People's National Congress Reform and President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, David Granger, you know, he encouraged that whatever lands are allocated to person must not be small lands that people will not be able to plant or to reap from what they would have planted. So, you know, the party continued on the legacy that the late Forbes Burnham left. So, and this will also continue. So, moving on, are there any other questions? Or we can now open briefly for questions off of the statement. Going once. Going twice. Well, I don't see any indication, so I guess there's no questions to be put to the panel of the press statement. So, ladies and gentlemen of the media, I want to thank you on behalf of the panel here for joining us this morning for a PNCR press conference on the occasion of the launch of the activities to mark the centennial birth anniversary of Linden Forbes Sampson Burnham, OESC. So once again, thank you for joining us. We do look forward to you joining us over the weekend and into the new week as we unfold the varying activities to celebrate this great man of the soil. May God continue to bless you. May God continue to bless our beautiful country. And may God continue to bless our party, the People's National Congress Reform. Thank you very much for joining us this morning.